All right. Good morning. Good morning. Morning, everybody. Oh my
Morning.
gosh. We're so excited to have Corry. Now, I didn't ask you how your last name was pronounced, so I'm just going to go for it. Corry Jankowski. Did I get it right?
So close. Jankowski.
So, Jankowski.
Janskowskis.
All right. Very,
Well,
very
she got my
nice.
name wrong too. So I call her Donna Reedy.
Yeah. There we go. And believe me, when I have to spell the word read, there's always an E on the end.
Yeah.
Every time, and I have to autocorrect. All right. So I love it. You started at 14 and your passion was ignited then, and you have been doing crazy things since then. We were just talking right before the show started how she thought she was in a bubble for 30 years. I didn't realize there was these great communities out here of people like us. I know what that's like. I did a bubble only for 5 years. But yeah, so we're so happy to have you on, Corry. And I know Deb has a lot of questions. So let's get going.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning, Corry. Now, we were talking before this up. Now, Corry, I met Corry at Scaling New Heights, and to be honest, I didn't remember it. So I asked her, "Have we met?" And she goes, "Yes, I was in your class." So tell us about that.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Like, I loved it. My friend Erica said you have to go to this class, and I had signed up for a different breakout class, and she's like, no, you're going to regret not going to this class. And I will say that I am so glad that I went, because like, you lit a fire of just like, you're just so passionate. I love it.
Well, that's great. I mean, and you did not come up and introduce yourself after the class.
I did not.
Well, don't do that anymore.
I won't next time. Next time.
Now, which scaling was that? How many years ago?
Last year.
Yeah. Last year. Oh, because I did a couple of. I did storytelling, and I did the importing your stuff into QuickBooks using. Which one did you go to, or did you go to both?
I went to the cleanup one.
Oh, the cleanup one. Oh, when Hal called on the phone.
Yeah, I'm a cleanup bird. Yeah,
he had the heart attack, and he called, and I said, "Let's ask how he is." Yeah,
exactly. It was so real. Like, I loved it. It was so real.
So anyway, well, I'm glad you came to the class, and from that you got on fire, and because you have done some pretty spectacular things. So I know one of the things you did is you started your own community called Ask a Bookkeeper. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So before I started my business, I had worked around people, and I love being around people. And being by myself in a room, I felt really, really isolated. And I felt like I just was not accomplishing as much as I wanted to. And I really loved like the idea of like a virtual buddy system. It's like to work together, like co-working together, but also to have a place where we can kind of like brainstorm. And so that's really what it was, it's kind of evolved in that direction of where we have a place where we have like a weekly brainstorm, and we're hoping to add to that, where we just like meet on Zoom once a week and talk about whatever challenges we're having, whether it's client related or if it's a project we're working on or whatever the issue is. And then on Fridays, we meet together and we kind of check in and talk about, this is the thing that I have been procrastinating doing, and I'm going to get it done right now during this hour.
So you have 2 Zoom meetings a week?
Yes.
Impressive. Now, are they always at the same time? Like 2 o'clock and you're in Illinois?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So you're in Central Time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we got I'm in East, Donna's West, you're Central. So all we need is Mountain, and we got all 4 of them covered. Or Hawaii. I mean, that's so I can never figure out, what are you, 2 hours behind me, 1 hour behind me? I never know.
I'm 1 hour behind you. Donna should be, are you 2 hours behind?
3.
Well, she's 3 hours behind me.
3.
Oh, 3 hours. Yeah, 2 hours behind me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Now, and you started this because you're friends with Nancy McClellan, and she had Ask a CPA.
Yes.
So tell us how that coordination, that collaboration came about.
Yeah. So Nancy and I, we also met at Scaling New Heights. That's when Scaling New Heights was when I kind of came out of my bubble and started talking to other accountants. I didn't know there were so many like
other nuts like us.
Yes,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I pictured them just like ChatGPT does. Like when you say like make an image of a room full of accountants, and it's always, like
Boring.
boring. Yeah. And then at Scaling New Heights, I realized, like, wait a second, like there are more like me who have like
Personality.
personality. Yeah, exactly. And so we talked about it for a little while. She mentioned when she was first toying with the idea of Ask a CPA, and I was like, sign me up before she even started. I was like, sign me up. I was one of the first people to join her group. And then after that, I was kind of like, this is what I want for bookkeepers too. So they have a space where they can ask questions and where we can actually like work through them together, because that's how I learn and I love to teach. And so that's where Ask a Bookkeeper kind of evolved out of.
Well, that's fabulous. Now, you say you love to teach. Now, tell us about, you have developed a course, a cleanup course
Yes.
that is taking the whole industry by storm. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So in January of 2024, it was released. I had partnered with, it was formerly Fast and Easy QBO, now Acadian. And Margie had said that she wanted to release a cleanup course. And it's something that we had talked about. Again, something I had toyed with, but didn't really know how to make that a reality. And so she said, well, get working on it in 2023. So I got working on it. And now we have over 1,700 members of the cleanup course. That is itself just a vibrant community of bookkeepers who already have bookkeeping skills and they already have a foundation in QuickBooks Online, but they don't necessarily know how to coordinate a whole cleanup process to make it so that it goes smoothly. And that's really what the cleanup course is it's the systems and processes to be able to work through it, know what to expect, and not ever feel like this is too much. I can't do this.
And
You're also getting paid for your time, because that's a very valuable expertise.
And you use all of the tools within QuickBooks Online.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no outside third party that you use. You use now we were talking before, and there's the two tools we talked about, Books Review and Client Overview.
Yeah.
Tell us how you use each one and what each one does, because I'm always totally confused with those.
Yeah. So Client Overview helps you to identify how that business owner is using their QuickBooks Online account, really. It helps you to see like what subscriptions they have, if they have any apps that are included, that are integrated, if they what bank accounts they have connected. And then it also shows you like what their transactions are. So if they have like X number of transactions per month, how many of those are invoices, how many are journal entries, so that you kind of have an idea of how they are currently using their books, whether it be right or wrong. And then Books Review has all of these built-in tools to help work through the process.
And this is developed because you used to be a QuickBooks Live bookkeeper. So you learned these messy books when they would call up to fix it. So you learned all the tools, and from what I understand that you told Intuit, give these to the accountant community.
Yeah. There were a lot of us who were like, hey, why do we not have these? Because Intuit, when you are a QBL, when you work in QuickBooks Live, they encourage you to also have your own job. So they encourage you to be nurturing your own business and clients. And here we were clocking in and using Books Review and finding it really made things super efficient. And then we would leave and we would have to do everything without Books Review. And it was very inefficient. And so a lot of us were kind of like, hey, this isn't fair.
Right.
You need to have this out there for us to be able to use, because accountants are struggling. Like, we need tools to be able to better serve our clients in this product.
So these are the two tools. What other tools do you use within QuickBooks Online to help?
I love the entire accountant tool briefcase.
Okay.
There are so many things in there. And during the cleanup course, we do a lot of hands-on exercises. So there's over 45 hands-on exercises. And then there's a whole final project, so that when you get to the end, you actually migrate a desktop file to QBO and you actually do a cleanup of this diaper service company that was in my past life. part of what I did. And so you actually clean up the books for this company so that to kind of give you that feeling of like, okay, I really can do this. And that's a real cleanup. And so during the process, like I just unpack all of these things that people don't even know exist or
Right.
how to use them. And you get to use them over and over and over again.
Okay, now I want to talk about your sales process, because I will, none of us, when you say the sales word, it's a 4-letter word to most accountants. But if you're a business owner, nothing happens unless something is sold. You are always be selling.
Yeah.
So what is your sales process? Now, I'm a new customer that I know I'm going to reach out to somebody who need help, and I found you on the website, and I call you up and I say, hi, this is Debbie, and Corry, and let's start that conversation. So I'm going to pretend I'm a customer with an
Oh
S,
no.
and you come back with what you say. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
So, hi, this is Debbie, and I need help.
Oh, hi. It's great to meet you, Debbie. So I'm Corry. What's your experience? What
I
is
really
going
don't
on
know
with
what
you?
I'm doing. I mean, I have to get my taxes done. I haven't, I'm just overwhelmed, and I just don't know where to begin. And I feel like such a failure, because I should know this as a business owner, but I don't. They keep
Yeah.
telling me it's so easy.
It's really not. What do you do for your business?
I'm the owner. I have a pool service company. I clean pools.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations. Well, it sounds like your pool service company is doing fantastic.
Yeah, but I don't really know, because
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm spending my money. I'm working hard, and I'm working nights, weekends, and holidays doing my books, and I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I know how to clean a pool, but I just do not know how to do my books.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you know how to do that side of your business. And I'll tell you that so many people, when they start a business, they don't expect it to be successful. We almost start a business expecting it to fail, and we don't know all of the moving parts that are happening in our business. And that's not your fault at all. There's so many moving parts. So what I do is I help businesses to be able to see what is happening in their business. And that's what I do. I don't know how to clean a pool. That's why I would hire someone to clean my pool. But I do know about bookkeeping, and I know how to help you get to a point where you can look at your books and we can meet together and you can feel like, okay, I actually know what's happening in my books right now.
Okay,
So
so what
that's
is the process? Do we need, because do we start today, and what are the steps?
Yeah. So the first step that I always recommend is that we talk a little bit about what your processes are right now. So you using QuickBooks Online?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Easy enough. So in QuickBooks Online, there is a place where you can actually add me as an accountant user. Then I can view your books. I can take a peek under, take a peek
Under
in
the
the
hood.
pool. Yes, and see what is happening. And then I'll give you a really thorough breakdown in a way that you can understand it of what is happening, how I can fix it for you, and then what that process looks like moving forward. So most of the time, it takes me around 30 days to do a year's worth of cleaning up things that have happened historically. Then after that, we get moving on your books so that you don't ever find yourself in this situation again. Then
Okay,
you can
great. All
focus
right.
on
So
your business.
what does something like that cost? I have no
So
idea.
yeah, that's a great question. So I do not charge hourly. I don't think that it's fair to people to charge hourly. I've been doing this long enough that I know what it's going to take once I look at the books. So what I do is I put together a package and I say, this is how much this is what it's going to take for me to work on this project. It really depends on what's happening in your books. Sometimes it's, $1,500. Sometimes it's more. It really, again, depends on what's happening in your books. And I'm completely upfront about that. I send you a proposal along with a video explaining what I found. You send me any questions. If you don't have any questions, you just go ahead and sign the proposal and we get started.
Great. All right. I just put Cora on the spot, so thank you for that. Well, I'm going to ask some questions now
Yeah.
about that process. So I know because before the show, you said that you have about a 98% close rate.
Yeah.
Now, what's your average price for a cleanup on average? I mean,
Oh,
you said 1,500, but or is it more?
oh yeah. 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 So I like to say that the average of most cleanups is probably around $6,000 to $8,000.
Okay, and
I've
that's
had,
for a whole year's worth of data. Now, let me
yeah.
ask you another question. Now, a lot of us are, as bookkeepers, we're a little bit of a perfectionist,
Mhm.
and my take on doing a cleanup is like it hasn't been. You didn't need it perfect up till now. Let's just get it in.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to match receipts to deposits and all that, and attach receipts to expenses and do bills and bill. I'm just going to get the transactions in, and then come up with some order, and then we'll move forward and do it better. Is
Yeah.
that your approach?
Yes. Yeah. I consider receipt management, AP, AR, all of that completely separate. Like if we're going to be handling that, that's completely separate. That's a different complexity.
So that's not part of the cleanup. So if you're doing expenses, you're seeing what's coming through the bank or the credit card.
Yeah.
You're reconciling the balance sheet accounts. Oh, I see a loan. I need the interest, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And okay, so how do you handle sales? If you see a deposit, how do you handle that?
Well, so that as part of the onboarding process, I think is really important to kind of get an idea of what they want to see. And a lot of times I'll like generalize something and then we'll go back and kind of break it out if they need more detail.
Okay.
But originally our goal is to get them numbers because like in the demonstration just now, your goal was to get things done so that you can get taxes done.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
can get you the numbers so you can get your taxes done. And then after that,
Yep.
and I mean, I have clients that I'm doing that with right now. I have a cleanup that I'm working on right now.
Right.
And our goal is to get the numbers by this Friday to the CPA so that they can make estimated payments at least.
Right.
And then after that, they're going to file an extension and get the actual return done. So, we're about meeting a deadline and then after that, we'll worry about perfection. But right now, we're worrying about progress.
Great. And I think that's really important in the initial call is what's your purpose? Well, I need a taxes done. Okay. And, because the IRS does not care who you sold something to.
Correct.
They
Yeah.
only care that you had a sale. The bank, if you need a loan, does not care who you sold it. You only need the numbers.
Yeah.
So then we look at the balance sheet. So that's great, and I hope all bookkeepers that are listening understand that because it's your purpose. Now, once you have them cleaned up, now you get them on a monthly package with you.
Yes.
Now, do you have tiers that you sell? Do you have minimums that you charge? What is it you do for that?
I do have a minimum, and I don't do
Yes.
tiers. So my minimum is $350 a month
Oh,
because
that's a low minimum.
I honestly really love some of those businesses, those mom and pop businesses who are just starting out. I love working with them, helping them prevent problems before they start. And just seeing them be successful. So I know my minimum is much lower than a lot of people's.
But you're starting with micro businesses. Now, what
Exactly.
does that include, the 350? What does it include?
Yeah, so that includes basically dealing with the bank feed and reconciling the balance sheet
So there's
account.
no sales tax. There's no,
No,
it's just a checkbook. You're just doing the checkbook and the credit cards.
exactly.
And,
Yeah,
and with AI and how QuickBooks Online works,
yeah. You can
it's
automate a lot of those things, and then
yeah,
then once a month we meet for 15, 20 minutes over Zoom. We go over the numbers so they can
right,
see what they're doing,
right.
and we're good to go for another month. Yeah.
So what is your next tier level package, and what does that include?
So after that, after the minimum, I actually use a pricing strategy. So I use the volume of transactions, complexity of the actual bookkeeping. So things like, do they have sales tax? Do they have, what other things are we dealing with? Do they have payroll?
Now, when you say payroll, you're doing the payroll, or you're just recording the transactions?
Just recording the transactions, but like, do they have payroll liability accounts, or do they just have a third-party payroll processor where it all gets expensed. That's, that's the complexity there is so much easier. I don't ever have to reconcile those as long as it's clearing out.
Right.
You don't ever have to reconcile it if they're working with a third-party processor. Whereas if they have liabilities, payroll liabilities, like you have to be actually looking, okay, is this clearing out every month? How's it actually looking? And then the amount of time that needs to be cleaned up. So just if it's 1 month, then it's just basically 1 month worth of work.
Okay, so do you have people on subscription packages so they go month to month to month?
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
how do you talk to your clients about price increases?
I just tell them.
There we go. Yes.
Yes. So how do you call them up?
That's
Do you
it.
send them a letter? What do you do?
Usually just an email.
Oh, by the way, your price is going up at
Yeah.
blah, blah date.
Yeah. Just so you know. And I do address that in the beginning. In the proposal, I address that we do quarterly reviews. Now, I don't honestly actually do quarterly reviews for most clients, but that way it kind of gives me room if all of a sudden this business goes hyper successful and my workload triples, then I can say, okay, hey, it's time to review this and reassess and reevaluate. They already know. I present that to them. Paying taxes is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That means
I know. I wish.
Yes.
I had
Oh my
a client call
gosh.
me yesterday, and she goes, "I need to cut expenses." So she calls me up, and I have to do something. And I said, "So I'm going to cut out payroll, and I'm going to not pay you anymore." I go, "Are you crazy? No can do." And she goes, "But I'm not making any money." I said, she's a little, just one amateur with one little part-timer. I said, "You made $35,000 from your business, and you took a paycheck of 20. You made $55,000. You're spending money elsewhere that you shouldn't."
Yeah.
So anyway, I said, "I'm going to get really mean to you." And I said, "You paid your daughter's taxes. You paid, your pay for her move. How old is she? I said, so you got to,
Debbie's just out here airing everyone's dirty laundry. I love it.
And so anyway, she texted me back later. She goes, "Thanks for talking me off the ledge."
Yeah.
But they really don't know.
Yeah. And that's where we have to be careful when we talk about cutting operational expenses, because we are an operational expense.
We're an investment.
Yeah, but in their mind, we are an operational expense, but we are so necessary when they look at their books and think, how hard can it be?
I know. I have people like that, and I go,
yeah. And it's
example, I said, I have a housekeeper. I know how to run a vacuum. I don't want to. I said, "You can do your own books. You don't need me, but call me in 2 years and I got to fix it. Your price is going to be out the door."
Yeah.
I said, what we need to do is look at other things. Maybe raise your prices.
Yeah.
Because you're making an investment in your business with an accounting firm.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get the thing well, the guy down the street charges less money. Then go there.
Yeah.
I get really kind of.
All right, guys, we have quite an active chat going on here.
Oh,
So there's a question here for Corry. Yeah. I'm going to put it up here. And Corry, what's the difference between cleanup and catch-up?
Oh, great question, Dorada. So a cleanup is when you have all of those historical transactions already in there and you are having to untangle them and fix them. Whereas a catch-up, you'll still sometimes have transactions in a catch-up. So they may have already connected the bank feed and they've done all the things to set up their account and then they just did not touch it. Or if you are setting up their account and catching them up. So it's really are you starting from scratch or essentially from scratch? And that's a catch up. Or did they have a huge mess where they tried to do it themselves and you have to go in and clean out the garage and organize everything and put it back?
Now, how do you handle the chart of accounts? I had a client come in and he wanted to, and he transferred from QuickBooks Desktop. So, when you transfer any account, in Plus, you have how much is the 250 account limit on the chart of accounts?
Yes.
Anything that comes over from QuickBooks Desktop does not count towards that 250.
Really?
No, it does not count.
Fun facts.
Fun fact. So So when he converted the account, it had almost 1,000 accounts. So I said to him first, I said, "This, we're cleaning, we're fixing this." That took me forever. So I sent him this. We're combining them all. You don't need to have every single, he had all of his cars. He had gas, repairs, and that, I mean, like, no, it's all cars. We do it by the vendor list, that kind of stuff. So how do you go and fix their chart of accounts, clean it up?
So in my course, I have a pricing calculator, and it's actually the pricing calculator that I have used for a really long time myself. And one of those is cleaning up the chart of accounts. Adds to the complexity of it because, you've got people who you go in there and they're like, well, I want to know, like, what were my sales to Susie? And it's like, that's not how we find out what our sales to Susie are, by creating an
account sales to Susie.
Yeah, exactly. Or like,
Exactly,
I want to spend how much my employees use, how much toilet paper they use. So they have an expense line for toilet paper. That's not how we find out. Like, that's
We'll put cameras in the bathroom to find out how much toilet paper they're using. I mean,
so it's about like, okay, the reason that this is so overwhelming is because we just made it so complicated.
Exactly.
But that's why there's products and services in QBO, is so that you can break out things like that. That's why you can look at expense, sales by customer, pull that report.
Wow.
Like there's no reason to have that on the chart of accounts.
Right. Great. Yeah. That's perfect. We're running out of time. We have like a minute left. And I could talk to you all day.
We're good. A couple of questions that have come in the chat. So I want to show this one. Yeah. So, Corry, could you please clarify what subscription pricing means to you?
Yeah. So, and I don't necessarily know the answer to this because there's so many different people who call it different things. I used to call it value pricing, but then I found that people were saying that value pricing is based on like how much value you are bringing to the business. And I'm like, yeah, that actually probably fits. So subscription pricing to me is more like, we actually go in, we use the pricing calculator. We say, okay, this is how much it's going to cost per month. And they treat it like a subscription.
Right. So they pay it. It's a monthly recurring revenue.
Yes. Yeah, they treat it just like Netflix. Like, I pay Netflix, and this is how much I know to expect. This is what I know I'm going to get from Netflix. If I want a higher subscription, then I know that I can always upgrade if I need more services. Right. So that's what I treat it like.
And then, I mean, like even Hulu has upgrades. There's Hulu Basic, there's Hulu No Ads, there's Hulu's plus Showtime, Hulu plus Hulu TV. So if you think of your pricing like they do with the streaming services.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out, I think the value conversation is important. How important is this to them? And I will tell you that, that some people will never see your value ever.
Yep.
Those are not customers you want to chase. So let them go. Just like, Donna's a Disney freak. She will pay whatever price it is to go to Disneyland, and you're going to Paris, you're going to Tokyo to go to Disney World. I mean, really, you could not pay my husband to go to the parks. So no matter how, he will never see the value in going to a theme park. So Disney doesn't chase him.
No. So
we should not be chasing people that don't see the value in what we do. So if you have customers like that give you a hard time every month, that question your bill, why are you doing this? Find somebody else.
Yeah, replace them.
Replace them. So that's great. So is there any words of inspiration you want to give to all of our people out there listening?
Yeah, so when I created the cleanup course, my reason for that was because there is so much need for experienced bookkeepers. And we need to make our lives easier so that we are not getting stressed, bitter, and resentful of our clients. We need to work smarter, not harder. And that's really what I wanted people to see. There is so much potential for experienced bookkeepers. So go out there, get the experience, and just start telling people this is what you're doing.
Exactly.
Like, don't be shy. You will get clients. Just do it.
Everybody needs us. Everybody needs a hairdresser. They all need a funeral director, and they all need a bookkeeper.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So you have to go find the clients. Now, where do you find your clients? Do you have a website? Do you meet them out and about?
So most of them are referrals from my existing client base, and I really like that because they already know they come.
So how did you? And so do you ask for the referrals? Say, who do you know?
Yeah. So I put that out there. You tell them like, hey, you're a really great client. Like, do you know anyone who needs
my
help?
help?
Yeah. Do you know anyone who owns a business? Yeah.
So where can they get your bookkeeping course?
So my bookkeeping course is available if you go to www.cleanupcourse.com.
Okay.
That's the easiest way. Cleanupcourse.com is where you can sign up for it and ask a bookkeeper if you want to join. If you already feel like you are at that point and you just want that kind of camaraderie, that group mentorship feeling. That's at askabookkeeper.net.
And you're a member of quite a few groups, so because I know Corry's a bookkeeping bud.
I am. I love my buds, and I love that community. Just if you feel.
And it all started as a bud. You started as a bud, right?
I did.
Because it's funny, I met Erica, your friend, at the Reframe conference, the first Reframe conference, and she was sitting at my breakfast table, and I went on about becoming a bud. She went back and signed up right there, and Cindy was at that conference.
Yeah.
So Erica.
Yes.
I told Erica at the Reframe, she joined right up, met Cindy at the conference, and now she told you. I mean, that's how it grows.
Yeah, and there are all these amazing communities. So like, go out there and find, like, if you don't have one, go out there and find the one that speaks to you, that's going to serve your business. I really love that like mastermind mentality of like that we need to be working together. We're not gatekeeping anything.
Nope.
Like that's gone. That mindset is gone. We are now sharing freely and trying to bring the whole industry into a different light. So
if you have an idea and I have an idea, we both have one. If we share it, we both now have two.
Yeah.
It's a win-win for all of us. Yeah. But anyway, we're out of time for today. I want to thank you for taking your morning and sharing it with us. I want to thank all the people that were in the chat that joined us this morning.
Yeah, there were so many of my students in the chat. I loved that. Their names just
they had so many questions.
Subscribe and share. Tell all your friends. And any of you that are in the chat that want to promote your business, we love you as a guest because it's a great way to promote your business because you can tell all of your prospects, go see me on Bookkeepers on Fire. Look, I'm a star on YouTube. So that's great. So is there any other things we need to talk about, Donna? You want to say goodbye or
No, we're good. Thank you everyone for joining us in the chat. Sorry we did not get to all your questions.
We're going to have Corry back.
Yeah. We've got them on the recording. You can always ask your question or post your question in the comments and we'll try to get answers for you in there. But yeah, tell your friends to like, subscribe, and come on back and check out our videos every week.
And our podcast too on Spotify.
Oh, we have a podcast also on Apple and Spotify called Bookkeepers on Fire, where we answer very specific questions from bookkeepers and accountants just like you. Even some business owners now are asking.
Yeah.
So we are answering those questions. It's only 10, 15 minutes, sometimes longer if we drone on about things. We sometimes change it up in the middle. But yeah, we're having a lot of fun doing this. And if you want to join us, please reach out to us.
Yeah, please let us know.
Comment somewhere. You can find us on LinkedIn. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. And we would love to have you on. Thank you so much, Corry, for joining us. It was just a pleasure. I have not met Corry in person yet, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.